前去支援其他五大关隘。前辈的战法。
Throne of Seal, Episode 129. The scene opens with the Jingjing Base Knight Assessment, where Long Haochen, filled with determination, faces Long Haochen. Long Haochen explains that failing this assessment would prevent Long Haochen from choosing a lower-level assessment later. He would be required to stay and cultivate at the temple until successfully passing the current one. Only after mastering the epic-level Jingjing Base combat technique could he begin the 10 million meritorious deed mission. Despite feeling tricked, Long Haochen understands there's no turning back. Meanwhile, Long Haochen, pleased with himself, plans to use this situation to his advantage. He aims to retain Long Haochen within the Night Temple, hindering him from forming a new team and embarking on the Demon Clan mission. This strategy also presents an opportunity for Long Haochen to further develop his abilities. A knight is summoned to escort Long Haochen to an underground training ground situated within the Night Temple's main hall. Smaller than the Alliance's main training ground, this area measures a mere 50 meters in diameter. However, its compact size is offset by a noticeable surge in spiritual energy and a sturdiness surpassing that of the Alliance's facility. Once Long Haochen reaches the designated training ground, the escorting knight departs, leaving him alone. Donning his glorious sacred armor, Long Haochen assumes a seated position and centers himself. He carefully regulates his breathing and stabilizes his spiritual energy flow. A gentle, pale golden light begins to radiate from his body, illuminating the glorious sacred armor and casting a striking brilliance. He appears to seamlessly merge with his surroundings, projecting an aura of tranquil strength. After an extended wait of nearly half an hour, Long Haochen remains composed and patient. It is at this moment that a towering knight enters the training ground. This knight is clad in standard, full-body armor, his head concealed by a helmet. In his left hand, he carries a hefty tower shield, while his right hand grips a 2-meter-long warhammer. His equipment, all of glorious grade, is of respectable quality. As the tall knight steps into the training ground, Long Haochen's eyes open. The sudden awareness catches the tall knight off guard. He had not sensed Long Haochen's presence upon entering. Now a palpable sharpness emanates from Long Haochen. Rising swiftly, Long Haochen greets the tall knight with respect and proposes an exchange of equipment, recognizing the advantage his own gear provides. The tall knight, however, declines the offer. He instructs Long Haochen to fight with his full strength and forbids the use of mounts during the assessment. With that, the tall knight advances towards Long Haochen. Each stride he takes is wide and deliberate, causing tremors throughout the training ground. Golden flames ignite around him, and an overwhelming pressure, akin to a tidal wave, surges forward. Long Haochen's expression shifts subtly. While he had anticipated the capabilities of the Jingjing Base Knights, the tall knight's initial movements take him aback. Despite employing no techniques or releasing spiritual energy, the sheer force of the knight's presence is immense, bearing down like an unstoppable force. The knight even maintains a measured pace, deliberately amplifying the intimidating aura. Knowing he cannot allow the knight to unleash his full momentum, Long Haochen reacts instantaneously. He pushes off the ground with his toes, and golden light bursts forth behind him. He darts towards his opponent, moving as swiftly as a bolt of lightning. This is Lightspeed Flash, a secret technique of the 7th Order Retribution Knight. The technique allows for an explosive increase in speed and presence, making it incredibly challenging to master. Yet Long Haochen executes it effortlessly, without any prior preparation. He becomes one with his sword, holding back on releasing his sword intent. The moment Long Haochen makes his move, the tall knight reacts, raising his tower shield to intercept the attack. A resounding clang reverberates through the air. Though not quite reaching the speed of light, Lightspeed Flash represents Long Haochen's fastest attack, rivaling teleportation. The impact of their clash is instant. The force of the sword strike tears through the tall knight's formidable presence. Long Haochen's attack, seemingly spontaneous, is anything but. He has channeled all his spiritual energy into a single point, focusing his sword intent within the Goddess of Light's courage probe. This strike surpasses any attack he could have executed before his retreat. However, The strength displayed by the tall knight is beyond anything Long Haochen expected. As the goddess of light's courage probe connects with the tower shield, golden sparks, even brighter than the sword itself, erupt from the shield's surface. It's as if Long Haochen has struck a mountain, not a shield. The force of the collision fails to generate any recoil, and his sword seems to be stuck fast. This is the unique power possessed by the strongest of the Lingang demon clan. The demon clan, known for their physical prowess, fall short of humans in their mastery of spiritual energy. Humans, on the other hand, have developed Lingang, a powerful amplification skill employed by the Temple Alliance in their conflict with the three great temples. Lingang stands as a testament to human strength. Surpassing 30,000 spiritual energy marks a pivotal point in cultivation, requiring the formation of a fourth spiritual shell to ascend to the 8th rank. 8th rank powerhouses possess an incredibly concentrated form of liquid spiritual energy within their bodies. Lingang, in essence, is solidified spiritual energy capable of generating immense force through instantaneous detonation. However, this formidable technique comes at a cost. It can only be utilized at close range and consumes a significant amount of energy. While Long Haochen has successfully reached the 8th rank, his command over Lingang remains underdeveloped. To fully harness its potential, he needs to further enhance his spiritual energy reserves. Only upon breaking through to the 9th rank can he wield Lingang externally. This concept is not unfamiliar to Long Haochen. He witnessed his father Long Xingyu unleashing external Lingang during their time in Odin Town. Through the God King's throne, Long Xingyu amplified Lingang's power, decimating a large number of demons in an instant. Presently, Long Haochen faces Lingang wielded by a human expert for the first time. The tall knight's exquisite control over this technique leaves him astounded. Long Haochen's lightspeed flash, an amalgamation of his swordsmanship and the might of the goddess of light's courage probe, is a formidable attack. However, the tall knight expertly anticipates and counters it by concentrating his Lingang at a single point, intercepting the full force of the blow. The resulting collision unleashes a terrifying Lingang shockwave, resembling a collapsing mountain and a raging sea, erupting from the tower shield. This seemingly simple counterattack, amplified by Lingang, becomes an unstoppable force. Despite the impact, Long Haochen's initial strike yields some success. He manages to disrupt the tall knight's focused presence, preventing him from reaching his peak momentum. The exchange leaves both combatants on equal footing. As Long Haochen is sent hurtling backward, his 4 spiritual wings unfurl behind him. With a swift beat of his left wings, he executes a mid-air roll, narrowly dodging the giant hammer aimed in his direction. While the hammer misses its mark, the resulting shockwave grazes Long Haochen, intensifying his spin. The sheer power displayed by the tall knight does not deter Long Haochen. He understands the strength of the Jingjing Base Knights. Swiftly adapting to the situation, Long Haochen performs a backflip, altering his trajectory mid-flight and evading another swing of the giant hammer. Frustrated, the tall knight unleashes another attack. A circle of distorted ripples emanates from the hammerhead, the element annihilation halo. Within this halo, all elements are instantly nullified. Caught within its range, Long Haochen feels the light element drain away, leaving him momentarily paralyzed. The giant hammer seizes this opportunity and swings upward, aiming for a decisive blow. Undeterred, Long Haochen meets the challenge head-on. With unwavering resolve, he grips the goddess of light's courage probe with both hands, extending the 4 wings on his back. Monstrous, sword intent explodes outward as he unleashes Asura Slash. A brilliant white light radiates from Long Haochen, forcefully pushing back the distorting element annihilation halo, completely negating its effects. In a flash, the goddess of light's courage probe clashes against the warhammer. The impact reverberates with a deafening clang, forcing Long Haochen backward. His 4 wings work tirelessly, pulling him away from his opponent. The warhammer returns to the tall knight's grasp. He makes no attempt to pursue Long Haochen. Instead, he offers words of praise, impressed that Long Haochen could counter his element annihilation halo using an instant 7th-order elemental summoning, demonstrating a degree of resistance. Long Haochen, eyes locked on the golden flames encompassing the tall knight, observes as they shift to a bright white due to the elemental summoning. Pure, terrifying light elements surge toward the tall knight. Behind him, the phantom of the goddess of light flickers, alternating between existence and non-existence. Despite the tall knight possessing far greater spiritual energy cultivation than Long Haochen, in this moment, Long Haochen holds an advantage. He can absorb the light element at a rate that surpasses even the tall knight's capabilities. This is the distinct edge bestowed upon a god's chosen. Raising his left hand slightly, Long Haochen summons a radiant light that shimmers with a blend of gold and blue. Yiting materializes, the blue feather-light hibiscus grasped firmly in her hand. With a sword on either side, Long Haochen enters a heightened state of focus. His eyes, though serene, possess an unwavering intensity. It's as if the world around him fades away, leaving only him and the tall knight. Yiting begins a clear, melodic chant, raising her staff high. An ethereal light descends upon Long Haochen, enveloping his body. The spiritual wings on his back retract, gracefully wrapping around his torso before slowly closing in front of him. The white flames surrounding him transform into an ethereal mist, rising upward. Witnessing this transformation, the tall knight resumes his advance, his steps now hurried and determined. While his strides shorten, the oppressive aura surrounding him continues to intensify. A golden mist begins to rise from his body, moving momentum. Long Haochen observes this display with keen interest. It's the first time he's encountered such a technique. While the specifics elude him, he instinctively knows that this method of building momentum is far more effective than his own stationary approach. Long Haochen's initial strategy was to bait an attack from his opponent. Now, facing this new challenge, he's left with no other option than to initiate lightspeed flash first. In an instant, Long Haochen appears diagonally above, reaching the apex of the training ground before immediately descending. Spiritual energy and sword intent combine in a fearsome display of power, accompanied by a thunderous dragon's roar. The very air crackles with energy, resembling a torrential downpour of mist and thunder. Long Haochen channels his spiritual energy, mimicking the tactics of his opponent. While his mastery of Lingang pales in comparison to the tall knight's, he can still focus this power through his twin swords. Clang, 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 clang. The sound of clashing steel reverberates through the training ground. The tall knight raises his tower shield once more. A reddish-gold hue washes over the shield's surface, resembling liquid flowing across its form. Ripples spread out from each point of impact as Long Haochen's relentless assault continues. The air surrounding their clash is torn apart by the sheer force of their attacks, leaving behind countless hairline fractures in the void. Spiritual energy erupts, shaking the very foundation of the training ground. Yet, despite Long Haochen's best efforts, his attacks fail to penetrate the imposing tower shield. He can only speculate on the nature of the technique protecting his opponent, as it was unleashed from within the shield itself. With a deafening boom, their attacks converge in a final, explosive release of spiritual energy. The sheer force of the impact sends Long Haochen hurtling backward once again, the pressure bearing down on him even greater than before. He hears a series of cracks as the glorious sacred armor he wears begins to buckle under the strain, nearing its breaking point. The clash between these two 8th-rank powerhouses is a testament to their incredible power. It's a well-known saying within the Alliance that only weapons of legendary grade or higher are suitable for 8th-rank combatants. Otherwise, the chances of weapon failure are simply too high. Blocking Long Haochen's assault takes its toll on the tall knight as well. His once pristine tower shield is now marred by over a dozen crisscrossing sword marks, evidence of the ferocity of the attacks he's endured. The intensity of Long Haochen's attacks was such that the tall knight was unable to retaliate with his heavy hammer, forced to commit everything to his defense to weather the storm. Long Haochen feels a surge of shock. He firmly believes that his command over sword intent rivals that of Ye Wushang, the legendary light sword god of the past. His current limitations stem solely from his cultivation level. As a god's chosen, Long Haochen's mastery of the light element surpasses even Ye Wushang's, yet he still finds himself unable to breach the tall knight's defenses. The realization dawns on him that his opponent has yet to unleash his full power. 2 all-out assaults have left Long Haochen winded, but he's far from finished. Taking a deep breath, he slowly raises his twin swords once more. The light in his eyes softens as a radiant ball of light, resembling a miniature sun, blazes to life behind him. The brilliance emanating from it is so intense that it bathes the entire training ground in an overwhelming luminescence, impossible to look at directly. This light surges into Long Haochen, bolstering his energy and increasing his power. The white flames clinging to his form grow denser, bonding to him. Even his glorious sacred armor takes on a white hue. "This is God Descent," the tall knight murmurs, a hint of awe in his voice. He watches as the ethereal phantom behind Long Haochen solidifies, taking on the appearance of a woman standing at his back. The 6-winged angel that appeared earlier has vanished. The 2 heavy swords in Long Haochen's grasp begin to change color. The pale golden light emanating from the Goddess of Light's courage probe shatters, replaced by a more brilliant, dazzling gold, tinged with a hint of striking orange-red. The blue feather light hibiscus glows with a vibrant emerald green, pulsing with life. Long Haochen closes his eyes, his golden hair shifts to a sacred white. The tall knight, familiar only with tales of God Descent, a secret technique that allows one to channel the power of a deity, watches in astonishment. It's unclear whether Long Haochen or his light elemental spirit initiated the technique, but one thing is certain: Long Haochen now wields this extraordinary power. A series of ear-splitting clangs ring out as the glorious sacred armor on Long Haochen's body begins to crack under the immense pressure of his surging spiritual energy. Unable to withstand the overwhelming power, the glorious grade equipment starts to break down. Long Haochen's power swells, approaching the peak of a 9th-rank powerhouse. The 2 heavy swords in his hands, empowered by God Descent, are pushed to their limits, revealing their true potential. The Goddess of Light's courage probe radiates an epic-level brilliance, its distinctive orange-red hue a testament to its exceptional grade. The blue feather light hibiscus, a dual-attribute mutated epic-grade weapon, shimmers with a captivating intensity. Both swords, priceless treasures in their own right, seem perfectly attuned to Long Haochen's will, moving with effortless grace. A palpable and terrifying sword intent explodes outward, threatening to rip the training ground asunder. The initial exchange has given Long Haochen a measure of his opponent's strength, revealing a vast disparity between them. He understands that continuing this fight will result in a greater drain on his spiritual energy than his opponent's. The tall knight, after all, has yet to fight seriously. Long Haochen realizes that his only chance for victory is to risk everything and unleash his full power. He cannot afford to lose. Defeat means abandoning all hope of reuniting with his companions. As the 2 heavy swords blaze with epic-level brilliance, Long Haochen pours everything he's gained over the past year and a half into this decisive strike. He is holding nothing back. Long Haochen was aware that the Goddess of Light's courage probe had ascended to epic grade. What he didn't anticipate was the evolution of the blue feather light hibiscus. God Descent, it turns out, is not a technique solely belonging to Long Haochen or Yating. It's the culmination of their combined strength, a manifestation of their evolved spiritual link. Yating's continuous growth and fusion, her burgeoning power and fundamental transformation, combined with Long Haochen's inherent potential as a god's chosen and a year of deep meditation, have allowed their connection to reach its zenith, making God Descent possible. It's a power they can wield only once in their current state, a single strike capable of reaching 9th-rank levels of destructive force. The tall knight reacts instantly, discarding his tower shield with a flick of his wrist. An intense orange-red light erupts from his right hand, coalescing into a small, 1-foot diameter shield, an epic-grade defense. He centers himself, his focus absolute. The reddish-gold flames engulfing his body shift, transforming into a strange bluish gold. This energy merges with the orange-red shield, forming a protective light screen in front of him. The screen, modest in size, is just large enough to shield the tall knight. With the light screen deployed, the tall knight becomes an unyielding bastion, his aura merging seamlessly with his defense. Long Haochen makes his move. God Descent may grant him unimaginable power, but it also carries an immense burden. He can no longer transform into Lightspeed Flash, instead relying on raw power, a simple yet devastating cross-slash cleaving through the air. Emerald green and reddish gold collide in a blinding flash, hurtling towards the light screen woven from bluish gold and orange red. As the attack nears its target, Long Haochen can no longer contain his sword intent. The entire hall trembles under the oppressive aura. Cracks spiderweb across the ceiling, the walls, the very foundation of the training ground. Defensive formations crumble under the strain. In the moment their attacks clash, Long Haochen confirms his suspicions. The tall knight standing before him is a 9th-rank powerhouse. The light screen, Long Haochen realizes, is reinforced not only by an epic-grade shield, but also by externally released Lingang. The realization hits him like a physical blow. He has lost. The difference between 8th and 9th rank is simply too great. Had he faced a 9th-rank demon powerhouse, a draw might have been possible. But his opponent is a 9th-rank guardian knight, wielding an epic-grade shield. Breaking through that defense is an impossible task. 2 deafening booms reverberate through the hall as sections of the training ground walls explode outward. Chunks of debris are sent flying. Then something unexpected happens. To both Long Haochen and the tall knight's surprise, the Lingang light screen, woven from bluish gold and orange red, begins to crumble. Large cracks spread across the shield's surface. Simultaneously, the red and green energies of Long Haochen's cross-slash begin to merge, the attack rotating in place. At the point of intersection, the 2 lights undergo a strange fusion, giving birth to a profound black tinged with a faint blue, like the first light of dawn breaking through the darkness. Long Haochen, nearing the very limit of his spiritual energy, instinctively raises his arms. His twin swords, starved of energy, vanish. An orange-red light flares from his left arm as the sun and moon god tower shield manifests, shielding him from behind.